It's 2019, retro game nostalgia has taken us by storm, and prices for pieces of plastic with little PCBs in them have skyrocketed. Enter capitalism breeding some sort of innovation, and companies big and small, new and old, are starting to create their own taste of retro gaming in the modern world. And Kickstarters are popping up, and FOMO is taking hold, and you wonder, are these even any good? I'm not talking about the Analog Pocket. I am talking about the Playdate. I am your cool Uncle Marissa, and I finally got my hands on a Playdate, and I thought we could open it together and see what the fuss is about. Now, before we get to that, what was my relationship with any and all of this? Annoyance, frustration. It sucked that the prices were going up like this. And then these things were coming out and we didn't really know if they're going to be fully supported. We didn't know what the benefits are. And to me, the Analog Pocket and the Panic Playdate were so mixed together in the time they were and the communities that they were trying to pull in, that I was sort of carrying the same attitude towards both of them. And I still don't entirely see the point of an Analog Pocket. I am sure those of you who do are going to tell me in the comments. I don't care. Don't waste your energy. What we can all agree on, I'm sure, is that they are still in 2023, almost 2024, still using the very same tactic of FOMO, doing tiny drops, different variations that are simply cosmetic, just so that you're gonna be worried that you're not gonna have this one variation, and you might as well buy it because then you can scalp it, right? And at the time of release, the Playdate didn't seem too much different than that to me. It looked super cute. I mean, that's kind of, it's like looking at a baby bunny. No one's gonna argue that it's not cute. Tons of influencers, YouTubers, etc. were getting copies to review. People were saying how it's so cool that it's got this weekly season-based rollout of games. But when it comes to something like that, then you also have the question of, when will support for this die? At the time, looking at these two products, to me, they were going through a very similar journey. Both were being sent to influencers, YouTubers, both were getting, rave reviews, and both were promising a taste of making the old new again and bringing newness to the old. The Playdate, in a much more subtle way than the Analog Pocket, which is just like, you can play Game Boy games on this thing that's really hard to come by and more expensive than modding your own Game Boy. And the Playdate more so in the flavor it offered, which in a way made it more frightening of an investment if you think about it, because the Analog Pocket, no matter what, is still going to take your cartridges. Whereas with the Playdate, it's sort of, they're promising a weekly rollout of games, and it's, very specific. Everything is built to itself. And, what if they just get bored? But my curiosity just continued to mount, and I definitely got to the point where I was like, yeah, I want one. And you know what? I'm glad I did, because I waited it out, and there is a lot more to this console than just a gimmick. So let's take a look at it. Let's see what it comes with out of the box, and let's see what it looks like. And then we'll come back here for some final thoughts. Here it is in all its yellow glory. And I'm gonna open it with you guys. It looks like a box of chocolates. We made Playdate just for fun. And you know what? That's what's so refreshing about it. Oh, that's really nice. I like how the Playdate itself is glossy and the rest is matte. Oh, there it is. There it is. I feel like a new dad. Oh my god, that is so clever. Look. The foam that's there to protect the device is glued onto that. Insane. Oh, the USB cable. The USB-C cable is yellow too. Ugh. Woo! I don't want to take it out. Oh. Okay. So it has like a matte feeling. I'd say I didn't expect that, but it's nice. And the buttons are glossy, which is kind of funny because if you remember on this, the design, they have the body glossy and the buttons matte. So that's a cute little inversion. And there's that crank. Oh, so cute. It just goes in that little slot. Oh man. Oh, cute. So it says welcome. Press lock, it's on the top. I haven't charged it, so hopefully I don't need to. Okay. I need to charge it. I'll be back. This is so sad. Alexa, play Despacito. Okay, I'm back. And I charged it for quite a while, so hopefully it does not die on us. You can see that lovely e-ink display. It looks so good. E-ink it looks so good. So press lock twice. Alright, so we've got the intro and it's asking to test like all the buttons, which is really cute. Okay, and then we're just downloading an update. Okay, it's asking me to set the time and, oh, it actually had it right. Yeah, so that's awesome. Okay, and we get to start at season 1, even though we've just got it, which is really, really neat. It's just neat to have that day 1 experience. The sound on it is surprisingly loud. Like, it's so cool. I'm not sure what the complaints have been about legibility. Like, this is really legible to me. It's like more legible than my first Kindle was that I got probably in the early 2010s. I'm gonna go back home. I'm gonna see, do I like the next game more maybe? Definitely looks cute. All right, there's reading involved here. That's more up my alley. It's so crisp, right? Okay, so I'm taking a picture of the bird that's like on there right now. So we wanna... Oh, where'd you go? No! Birdie. Okay. Can I... Oh, I see. Oh, look at that. It's in focus now. Okay. Does it go out of... Yeah, it goes out of focus if we keep going. Okay. Okay. Honestly, bird collection game. This is like much more up my alley. Okay, so now I'm gonna go give that photo to this guy. No, I don't want to take a photo of you. I want to talk to you. Honestly relatable. I have never, ever had like a great roommate other than my girlfriend. But that's different. You're like the same person at that point. Yeah, man, I really like this one. This one's like much more up my alley. I like, you know, it's got a sense of humor. I like that the crank is like part of like focusing the camera, as opposed to the core mechanic. I'm sure there's also games that have it as a core mechanic where it's just not as confusing to me. Just because I like games doesn't mean I'm good at them. Okay, so 3.6 gigabytes free. So that gives us an idea of how much room is actually in this. I'm also pretty certain that the difficulty I have with some angles, I just want to say that like I'm not having that difficulty so much in person. Like it looks best directly under light for me, for my eyes, which I think for you guys is like when I put it like this. But the way it blacks out on the camera, I think that's just my my filter on my camera lens. So you can change the clock and the lock screen. You can't preview it, but let's just go with digital and see what that looks like eventually. Auto lock, notification light for new games and catalog updates. What are the accessibility? Oh, that's neat. So reduce flashing is an accessibility option, and upside down. I wonder if someone has more insight on what that option is for. That's interesting, because my first thought was like maybe it's for left-handed people if it's like a crank only game. Okay, so I want to go back to this games update list and download catalog, and I'm just gonna do that and come back, because with catalog you can play games off the catalog, which is very cool, because I mean, I think it's a big selling point for everyone, the 2 games a week release, but it's also really neat to be able to discover other stuff. Actually, in the meantime, let's just take a look at it. So we've got it's a nice shape. It's got the little lock button. I imagine that's where the notification light goes off. And on this side we have the crank. And I've heard reports of the cranks breaking, so I'm kind of nervous. But it does just snap in there. Oh, it makes a sound too. Hold on. That's so cute. Okay, and then just the little screws on the sides. I kind of like that too. The bottom, we have the USB-C charging port. Thank God for a 3.5 millimeter. And the speakers. Nothing on this side. Boo, boo. No, I'm kidding. And on the back, we have just the stamped in Playdate and all that information. See, it's made in Malaysia. It was so funny that apparently they can't actually sell it in Malaysia, like the irony. And 4 more screws. One thing I'm thinking of the Gotcha SP that we built, the first public variation of, and the inspiration that was taken from the Playdate, and it's really cool to have the Playdate in my hands. Another thing that I think is kind of interesting to compare with that is, so if we look at it from here, what's the best way to look at it? Just like you can see that the D-pad flutters up on each side. The A and B buttons, they're just kind of domed. They're not flat as well. And that's an interesting thing just from a design perspective to compare that from the Gotcha SP, because the Gotcha SP is out there using Game Boy Advance SP buttons, which are flat. And I think with the Playdate, you can see that it can have that flatness, and the design of the buttons, though, makes sure that there's plenty of room for your button presses so that nothing is too low. And I think that's just a neat little thought. All right, now we've got the catalog. And yeah, I guess we can just like screw. Yeah, and I guess we can just scroll through like everything that's there. It seems to take a minute. So this is the new games. Okay, cool. You can search for games. You can search by genre. Oh, that's awesome. Oh yeah, and then there's also one of the things that made me go like, oh please, I need a Playdate so bad, is like the productivity apps. Like, the planner. I think there's like, yeah, there's an MP3 player now. Like, what? So that it definitely takes a minute for everything to load up image-wise. All right, well, let's see. How does this go? So, okay, so you can buy them. Crank to buy. Or hit A again. Okay, cool. So you can add a payment method. I almost had a heart attack. Not that I think that Root Bear does not deserve my money. I just, I have, there's no paycheck in my bank account right now. Okay, so that's cool. The buttons are really nice. Definitely that soft tactility that we have with things like the Game Boy Advance SP. One thing that's really weird is that the bottom and left are much clickier, whereas right and up are quiet. I don't know if that's intentional or not, but it's a fun thing to note. I don't care. I don't think I do. We'll see if I care. But yeah, that's the unboxing. I'm definitely gonna play around with it. But yeah, solid. It feels good. Feels good in your hand. It's heavier than I expected. I was surprised by the matte finish and the glossy buttons, but you know, I like it. Hopefully the crank stays a working, and I'm definitely gonna play the birder game, and I'm gonna see if I can't figure out the, what is it? The whitewater wipeout game. All right. What did you guys think? Are you excited to get your own? Do you have your own and you had similar first impressions? Tell me in the comments. But nonetheless, here are my thoughts about the Playdate. And just here's a secret insider tip. Everything we just watched was filmed about a week ago. So I've actually had more time with the Playdate too. I live in America, and chances are, by the statistics of my channel, if you're watching this, you live in America too, or another similarly capitalist country. And I think the Playdate is a very anti-capitalist product. Obviously, it's not completely not capitalist. It's being made for profit. The whole idea behind capitalism is capitalism breeds innovation, but we see things following in the footsteps of other things in a way that is just for money. I am so tired of everything I boot up having to connect to the internet, having to patch, having to update, having to download additional content. Like, I just want the game on the cartridge to put it in and it plays. What is the internet?
Do I look like I know what a JPEG is? I just want a picture of a goddamn hot dog.
And I want it to work. And it's just invaded everything. I remember one thing that I know it's frowned upon, but that could keep you company no matter what, was your phone. Phone games. You could buy the full thing for $2, $3. And now you can't even play phone games. I can't play phone games when I'm on the train because there's no internet in the subway. Most games now you can't even buy the whole thing, because instead they run on a subscription model because they realize that advertisements bring in so much more money than a one-time payment. And then we have this. You pay around $200 something and you get this. It comes automatically with games that are gonna be updated every week or so, giving you time to explore those. So we're not getting an insane, influx of access, of choice. But at the same time, there is a catalog that you can get games for. I mean, knock yourself out, get all of those games, overwhelm yourself with the choice. You have that option, but that's also really nice. And it kind of gives me a weird flashback to when I was a kid. I was gifted a Game Boy Advance, and it just sat in our apartment for such a long time because while it was gifted to me, it was gifted to me without any games, and we couldn't afford to buy a game for it. I don't know, it kind of just resonates with me there that the Playdate comes with games. Also, you do connect to Wi-Fi. You can connect to Wi-Fi to download games, download updates. But in order to actually play it, you don't need to be connected to the internet. And I guess I'm showing my age, but it's so bizarre to have to say that. I can use something I own without being connected to the internet. There's just also a very strong community around it. The entire time I was waiting for mine, I was in the shipping and delivered section of the Discord, and just the excitement among everyone was palpable. The fact that there's actually folks from Panic who are involved in the Discord. It's not just, all right, kids, you guys are sequestered off here and talk about yourselves about how much you love our product. And there is quite a nice degree of transparency as well. So it feels very much like you are supporting this very community-based thing that's not community-based as in it's going to fall apart at any moment because Jenkins, who started it, got bored and moved on with his life, and it's up to the rest of us to keep it going. And it's also a fun device. It's a fun device. It has the crank, which is a gimmick. It's a lot like the touchscreen on the DS or the 3D effects of the 3DS. But the games that I've played so far, they don't feel gimmicky with it either. You can tell that thought has been put in by the folks making games for it as well. And if you have seen my other videos, you know that something that I go back to a lot is this is how I remember it being. Not this is how it was, but this is how I remember it being. And that's something really cool about the Playdate. It captures our memory, or at least my memory, of what gaming used to be. For example, I remember you couldn't play without a light on. Same thing, but there's something a lot crisper about the e-ink display. I remember games being really small and little pixels and pretty limited number of things you could do. It has that, but there is an authenticity of the time we are living in now. The way dialogue is written, the way that characters are designed, the way that stories are told is very modern. It doesn't attempt to be something old in a way that omits any sort of quality of life or any sort of relevance. And I actually want to touch on the e-ink display real quick. I've heard people complain about it as, it has bad viewing angles. Why couldn't they just make it an LCD? I think it's great. And I think actually one thing that it does show us is how used to light our eyes have become. I think that it's really hard for us to see things now that aren't super backlit. I mean, I noticed this even while testing out Game Boys and stuff when I got back into the hobby, because it was like, whoa, I used to look at this as a kid like for hours on end. And yes, I do acknowledge that the screens have deteriorated over the many years, but still, I got one of the early Kindles and very similar e-ink display, just obviously with a matte instead of glossy screen. And even now, Kindles now have a sort of artificial backlight or something, like the Kindle Paperwhite, but everything is brighter. And I feel like our eyes have just gotten used to it. So when I first was playing with the Playdate, it was a bit of a struggle. It was, my eyes kept feeling like I had to strain to see. But once you get used to it, it's fine. I mean, you can't play it in bed. And I told her no one was going to believe this, but I told my girlfriend, I was like, yeah, I put it away for the night because I can't play it in bed. And she's like, why can't you play it in bed? And I said, because it has an e-ink display. And she just stared at me. She's like, what, like the ink is going to spill? And I said, if I shared this, you guys wouldn't believe that this happened, because it just sounds like a stand-up bit. But yeah, it is a very crisp e-ink display, and you will get used to it. Yeah, you can't play it in the dark, but You shouldn't be playing things in the dark if you want your eyeballs to last you till old age. But we're still going to do it. And my eyes are terrible already. My prescription is awful. So you can listen to me when I say that it is legible. And another thing about it, though, is just that even, playing games on your phone or on any actual console, there is a lot of eye fatigue. I don't know about you. I do get a headache sometimes. I didn't get that with the Playdate because there's no blue light. So it's a nice way to relax. It's a nice way to unwind. And the games are replayable and they have that quality we don't really see in games that much anymore. And it's just very joyful. Very joyful, very, very joyful console. I'm really happy I got one. I'm also really happy that it fits perfectly in this little pouch. Like, look at him. Look at this guy. He's just like, I'm bread. I'm bread. I'm bread. And, oh, I didn't put the crank in. But yeah, you got the idea. I'm bread, and the Playdate looks like cheese, so it's got a cheese sandwich. But yes, I love the Playdate. So I'm so happy I have one. I will probably do a video at some other point in which I give you an update of how things are going in our relationship, Playdate and Uncle, forever. Just to see, am I really truly being starstruck by the novelty of it? Am I gonna still keep playing it? So thanks for watching. Let me know if you have a Playdate, how long you've had it, what your thoughts are, how you feel about the just insane monetization of everything around us, and if that's something you miss. And if you're too young to miss it, is it something that you would like to come back? As always, I've been your cool Uncle Marissa, and before I let you go, a big thank you to my November Ko-fi supporters. Thank you, Windsucker. Thank you, Complex Milk, Ryan L. Thank you, Chillwatt. And thank you, Ninja Church. You guys are all amazing. Couldn't do it without you guys. So thank you so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye. So you're not supposed to just do that all the time. You are supposed to do it more finely. Okay, let's see. Okay. Yeah, man, that's more fun. And then you can, I guess, do tricks. This is very soothing. Oh, but yeah, you have to land the trick. Okay, so that's nice to know. So if you get your Playdate and you're a silly goose like me, that's something to note. Look, you can go in the straight line. I'm going in the straight line. Like the most boring surfer in the world. Oops.